Hi, everyone. Welcome to Unleash Her. I'm Roberta, and I'm your host of the Unleash Her podcast. And I am so glad that you're here. Thank you so much for joining us. And do us a huge favor and make sure to follow and subscribe to my channel if you're here on YouTube. If you're not on YouTube, jump on over so you can see our guest's face and be more interactive. And so that's at Roberta Campbell Official on YouTube. Thank you so much. I can't wait to introduce you to my guest today. Um, Kelli Kassoff is a poet and short story writer who isn't afraid to dive into the raw and real parts of her life, which I cannot wait to hear her story because this podcast is raw and real. And Kelli, I cannot wait to hear about your book too. It is called Unraveled. And so, without further ado, welcome, Kelli.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. I'm really excited to hear about your story. I've been watching you a little bit on Instagram too. So,
hmm
yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, so I am, like you said, a poet and short story writer. Unraveled is my debut book, and it recently hit the best-selling list, which is super incredible and amazing. Um, Unraveled is a book comprised of like prose poetry, so it's like long form poetry told in a story form. And it is about the rise and fall and rise again of a relationship and like the course of a relationship. So, um, I was previously married to someone, and we went through a very, very difficult divorce. And we have three children together. And so that was an added layer of complication. Um, and so Unraveled was this like cathartic way of kind of getting out the pain of ending a 10-year marriage. And there was a lot that happened within the marriage and throughout the divorce process that was really painful. And to the point where, I didn't know if I would ever, like, if I was going to make it pretty much. And so, like, really dark moments, really painful moments, navigating emotional abuse, financial abuse, um, and then coming out on the other side of it and meeting someone and falling in love and taking all that pain that I had and learning to trust someone and love myself and open up and bring my walls back down, like complete rewiring of my brain. And so Unraveled is that story. It's the story of how I completely started falling apart, unraveling, coming to pieces. My pieces all shattered into a million bajillion shards of glass, and then taking all of that into a pile and rebuilding myself. And now I'm remarried to someone incredible. So it's just like, it's this super big tidal wave of emotional writing.
Oh my gosh. I love
Yeah.
the title. I love that. And how healing was that?
You know what? It's written over certain time periods. And so some of them were just really painful to relive the memories, to like unlayer that those memories and feel all that pain again. Um, I think the writing process was really difficult for me. The publishing process, like once I put it out for public consumption, that was the moment that I felt super like complete. Yeah. So that was when it was like almost like self-validation that I had gone through this journey, and I put it all out there for public consumption. And with public consumption comes the good feedback, the negative feedback. And so I think that the writing process gave me kind of that armor to be able to handle the positive and negative that came with publishing.
Yeah. And congratulations on the success.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm
You're
shocked.
welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, I tell my friends and family and my husband, I'm always like, I'm so shocked. Like, how did this happen? And I think that when you read it, it really it resonates. So mine was about the end of a marriage, but I think it also bleeds into, it can be a parent child relationship, it can be a friend relationship, it can be like a boss and coworker relationship, this push and pull. And so I think it resonates with people across all readership.
Oh, I'm sure that so many people can relate to
Absolutely. Absolutely.
in many ways. I myself, of course, can
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I love that. Oh, so have you always been a writer?
So I started my career in finance after college, and I went to graduate school and got a master's in finance and an MBA. And then when I started to have children, I kind of took a step back from that. And I've always been a reader, like a very avid reader. And I remember as a child, I would write short stories. And I specifically remember in, I think it was like fifth grade, my teacher wanted all of us to write in like the composition notebook, that black and white composition notebook. And 15 minutes every day, and all the other kids would like mumble and grumble about having to write something, and I was just filling pages, like just, I mean, a book of just random little stories that I was creating. So I consider myself a writer. I've always been a writer. Some people say you're not a writer until you're published. I don't believe any of that. If you're a writer, you've always kind of just used words as your superpower.
Yeah. And I think too what I'm noticing is that people that are good writers obviously are good storytellers.
Correct. Right. And I think that so I'm writing my second book right now. And it's called I Spy a Water Tower. And it's a lot of short stories. It's a little different of a format. But it's a lot of short stories about the human experience. And I think we're losing the art of storytelling.
Mhm.
Back in the day, like my grandparents would sit around the table and tell us stories of like their grandparents and their life and working, on a farm and all the things. I'm from Texas, so we have a lot of farmers in our family. Not anymore, but we did back then.
Yeah.
And I think we're really losing the art of storytelling. And what concerns me about this is that I think that it stems from the judgment that we are receiving from others. So when you go through a really hard thing like divorce, or you have a child who passes away, or you have a beautiful love story that you want to tell, like there's so many people out there that are going to be so quick to judge you and say hurtful things. And I think that's why we kind of mute ourselves to telling the stories of our lives and the fabric of our lives. And I want to bring that back. Like, I believe that it is so crucial and so important to be vulnerable and to peel back the layers of ourselves to show that we're all human. We're all living this beautiful human experience. And we all go through it, right? We have our good moments and we have our bad moments. Like, we're all in the thick of it. So, like, no one's better than the other. And we should be sharing these stories because I think that we can learn from each other. So
Exactly.
I'm trying to bring back the storytelling with my writing.
Yes, I love
Yeah.
that. Do you ever, talk to someone and they're like, "Gosh, I haven't thought about that," or "I haven't talked about this in a long time," and you're
Yeah.
like, "Yes."
Yes. Yeah. All the time. And I've had people come up to me or send me DMs on Instagram. Instagram's like my main platform right now. Um, and they send me like a voice note or through their DM telling me this story, and they're like, if you want to use this story in your next book, I'm happy to like have you tell it because I think it's important to the world. So I'm getting a lot of people who want to tell stories, who believe in storytelling, but don't have, I guess, the confidence, um, or the armor for their vulnerability to like actually tell their own story. So I'm trying to bring it back.
I love that. Okay, I'm gonna ask you a question here.
Totally, go for it.
This is just something that came to me. All right, so your book, you say it's raw and real,
Totally.
and you're like, put it all out there. What's its rating? Is this a PG-13 or is this a R or
Mm,
have you ever been asked that?
I have. There's a
Okay.
few moments
Okay.
that I think are catered to adults.
Mhm.
Um, there's some I skim the surface of infidelity. I skim the surface of um, pornography addiction. I kind of skip, I don't deep dive into it. I have children, I have daughters, and they like, my oldest is like, I want to read it. And I'm like, let's just wait until you're a little bit older. My stepdaughter, who is 14, I think she's might have read it. Um, and I kind of prefaced her when she was like, can I read it? I was like, you can. Like, I will never tell you not to read something. I think reading is powerful. um but I'm going to let you know that there are moments in there where it can get kind of adultish. So I would say that it does have adult themes sprinkled throughout. And then my second book, I Spy a Water Tower, there I go back and forth. There's one story that I've written that spicy is spicy, and everyone loves a good spicy story, everyone. But my husband's like, I just don't know if it fits within your the way that you write, the way that you tell stories. I don't know if that's like the content. I don't know if he's just a little on the more shy side. I don't know. So we'll see on the second book. But I do think that it's probably adult themed.
Okay.
Unraveled has some adult themes throughout it.
Maybe it's the fire and spice, like in your hair and
Yeah.
everything. I was like, this girl's hair, you could
Yeah. Got
tell.
some good hair.
It's
Got some great hair.
beautiful.
Got some great hair.
Yes. So, how did you find the confidence to share your personal stories?
That's such a great question. I was so nervous. When I was writing, it was more of like just the getting it out on paper, and it didn't bother me. And then when I was nervous about publishing. I have a good co-parenting relationship with my ex-husband. And so I was kind of nervous about how that would affect our co-parenting relationship. Um, but I think there's been so much separation, like time and space between us, that like he didn't really get affected by it, or if he has, he hasn't said anything to me about it. He's always said I was a good writer, so I think he kind of expected it. Um, it was after I published when I got some snarky reviews. And what's interesting is like people try and hide behind like a username, but you can see who it actually is. Um, so I think that when I got those snarky reviews about people, like from people trying to dictate the story that I lived and that I went through, and like using their own narrative to tell, like to say that none of this is true, or this is what she went through, not that, like that's kind of when I got a little bruised. But I've been going to therapy for a really long time. I believe in therapy. Big believer in therapy. I have a phenomenal therapist. And I went to her and I just kind of had a casual conversation. And she was like, you've done something that people dream of. You have not only written a book, you've written a best-selling book. You're writing a second book. You've put the darkest moment of your life out for public consumption. You have one or two people who are just trying to bring you down. Like the people that you write about, the themes that you write about are those type of people. So they're just ruffled because in this like roundabout way, you're calling them out for being toxic human beings. And so they're pissed about it. So the people, those little snarky comments and the reviews, like it's because they have nothing. I realize like they have nothing. They have nothing better to contribute. And it's those type of people that my book highlights and shines a light on. And that gave me confidence. That was like, you know what? The people who have received my book and have been so proud and so supportive and so encouraging and so happy to read it and giving me awesome reviews, those are the people who have been recipients of toxic behavior. The people who are the naysayers, the people who are trying to bring me down, those are the perpetrators of toxic behavior. So the book, it has a story, but it also shines a light on who is who in this world. So I think that gave me confidence. Like, you know what? Like, I'm doing good. I'm telling stories. I'm doing exactly what I love. Like, your snarky little comments are not going to bring me down. I'm writing another book. I can't wait to add more spice to it. Like, look out. Here we go.
Yeah. And when you see that, um, any of the negative comments that we receive, it is definitely a part of them that's like
It's
they're
a layer of
they're
insecurity.
for sure.
Yeah.
And they're I mean, I don't like to say jealous or envious that you did this.
Right.
You did it. You put
Right.
yourself out there.
Totally.
You're vulnerable, you're raw and real, and look at where that's going. And I try not to look at the comments that I get
Right.
sometimes. But I have looked at just to be curious, like their profile, and I'm like, they don't like,
Yeah.
there's no subscribers or there's no followers,
Yeah.
and I feel bad for them.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. You have these people who believe their own kind of reality. They believe their own narrative, um, or they hear something from someone else, and it's instant gold. It's instant belief for them. I feel like people have lost their ability to use their own discernment, um, and to come up with their own conclusions. Like, we have this herd mentality of people that, uh, one person says the sky is red, and everyone's like, the sky is red. It's I'm looking, and I'm writing for the people who are like, I think the sky's blue. Like, I want those people in my life. I want those people's stories. That's the people that I want to surround myself and be with.
Yeah, and when you start looking at any comment, you're like, okay, go ahead, like, go ahead and
Yeah,
comment. You're making me.
cool, cool, awesome. Thanks for the review. I don't, I don't care.
It's just like it really can live, it can do so much more for you when you
Right.
understand that, and you come from that place of just compassion and understanding,
Yeah.
that they
It does,
are.
to go back to your point, it does make me kind of sad because these people, they're not going anywhere. They're not doing anything. And one of the biggest preaches that I give my family and my husband all the time is, we're on this planet for a finite amount of time, for literally a speck in the timeline of the universe. We have like, what, Matt, like maybe 80 years if we're lucky, 90 if we're like on a great track.
I'm aiming for 100.
Right. Like it's it's not a whole lot of time.
Right.
What makes me sad for
No.
these people is like, they're not doing a whole lot with the little speck of time they have on this planet. Like, the ambition's not there, the vulnerability is not there. They
Mm.
could never walk in my shoes. They could never take their experience and formulate it into words and then publish it. Like, they could never. It makes me sad for them. They don't, like, what mark are they leaving in this world? How are they leaving this world a better place than what it was when they were here? Like,
Yeah.
you know?
And I don't know about you, but I'm gonna tell you, I probably was one of those people that would be like, "Oh, I wouldn't comment because I
Yeah,
was too afraid." And I'm not saying, but I had that little chip on my shoulder.
right. And I think we all have a little bit of that in us. I was recently talking to someone, and they were talking about someone who was having like a marriage problem, and this other person was like, "Oh, well, that doesn't surprise me." And like, kind of like my gut little reaction wanted to be like, "Yeah, you're right." but I was like, you know what? We don't know what's going on. Like that, I don't really feel comfortable talking about like someone else's relationship because like I know what it was like to have my divorce on full public circus, like for everyone to view. And I don't think I would want anyone to experience that. Like, I think it takes a little bit of mindfulness and intention to stop having that chip on your shoulder because I think it's kind of inherent in us. We're kind of a competitive creature. We want to compete. We want to be the best. We want to, have the nicest this and that and whatever. But I think it takes intention and mindfulness to take a step back and say, it doesn't have to be that way. Like we can support and cheerlead for people, even if it's not like, even if we're not like winning.
Yeah, and that's it. Take a step back
Take a step back.
and be aware and have that
Right.
mindfulness. So what okay, so you said, you're like, "Okay, so I see a therapist. I think it's great." I
Mhm.
have too. I have too. It helped
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
But then I moved on from that and I've had mentors and coaches, and so like how did you move on from like taking the steps to rewire your mindset and change that?
So I think that therapy, I still go to therapy. I went to therapy yesterday. I don't go as often. I kind of, it's like as needed. I go to the same therapy. I've been going to her for 4 or 5 years. Like she is incredible. I actually dedicated the book Unraveled to her.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think this is so important because, when you do find somebody that a therapist that you really are in tune with, definitely stick with
Oh,
them.
you
I'm
stay.
just saying maybe I just didn't,
Yeah.
maybe it wasn't the right time for me
Right.
or somebody I didn't associate with, but
Right.
I love this. So
Yeah.
sorry.
No, she's been incredible. And like I went into her with the mindset that we would just like get through the divorce, like right? We would just get through kind of what I was in the middle of. And man, that snowballed into like creating healthy boundaries with friends, dealing with stuff from my childhood, how to show up in my new marriage with like patience and like just I mean it is I'm like I think that kind of rewired me. So I wouldn't say that I've ever had a coach. Um, I would say mentor wise, I think I just, when it comes to writing, I think some of the authors that I've read, their writing styles have kind of given me um, guidance on how to write myself. Um, and then I think that my grandfather who passed away a long time ago, and I think he passed away in 2012. He was always encouraging of anything that I wanted to do. And he's always kind of in my back pocket when I'm writing or when I'm, nervous about putting something out there for everyone to read. Cause he was like an old Texas country boy. Like he would not give a shit. He was like, do what you do and hope it don't care about what anybody else says. And so I always kind of have him in my back pocket. But therapy's been really important for me. And then some of the authors that I think that are incredible authors, like Joan Didion, she's a essayist from the 70s. She's fantastic. Um, Gabrielle Garcia Marquez, one of my favorite books, 100 Years of Solitude. Uh, I think the book that kicked off me actually wanting to be a writer one day when I was a child was Dante's Inferno, um, which I think I read it like middle school. Franz Kafka is fantastic. I mean, so I love right Anne Lamott, love her. Stephen King, love him. So yeah, just I think those as like mentors just for writing purposes.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. What do you hope that readers can take away from your work?
Oh man. Um, so I think this is a two-part question. I think that, or two-part answer. I think that one, the storyline, right? Like reading the story and kind of reading it as it's written um provides I think it's a good story. You're kind of there's moments where you're gonna hold your breath and be like, oh man, like that's I can't believe somebody went through this, or oh man, there's a lot of anger here. Oh man, there's like wow, they're like, this is like an incredible way to write, or I've never read any writing. Like have a different writing style. So it's like people say that they've never read anything that's been written this way. And then I think the storyline is one takeaway. I think that the other half of that is like kind of the moral takeaway is the moral of the story is like you can go through really, really painful moments. You can make really terrible decisions. You can learn from them. You can heal yourself. You can rebuild yourself into the person that you've always wanted to be with the value set that you hold close. You can live your life with integrity after maybe stumbling and falling really hard on your face. And it is okay to let go of that guilt and to let go of the shame that comes with some of the decisions that you have made. And it is okay to live your life full of love and acceptance and forgiveness. And you can go through it and you will get out on the other side. Like if my story is anything to anybody, it is the fact that like you can go through hell, you can walk through hell, you can dance with the devil, and you can realize this is not who I am. These choices are not how I want to live my life, how I want to raise my children, how I want to, like, you can totally reinvent yourself. And some people are not going to realize that. Some people don't think that people have second chances. And some people don't think that it's people don't reinvent themselves. Tigers don't change their stripes or whatever that people say. That's not true. It's absolutely not true. And so I think that second part is the takeaway that you can live exactly who you want to be.
Yeah. Yeah. So everything you were saying is a lot of the work that I've been doing and a lot of the studying and personal development.
Yeah.
And so for you to have this awareness, because it's awareness, you
Yeah.
know, is huge. And so, that's part of my thing too, is that it's never too late. And
Never.
do you think that too, like, you're like, was I supposed to go through this so I could write this book?
Probably. Yeah. I mean, there was a lot. I mean, there was so much going on in my life when this book was being written. But I think that like it's easier for me at least. It's easier to write painful emotions than it is to write happy and joyful emotions. Um, and I think that's just how I am wired. I am wired to, I can pick up on the energy of people in a room. I had a really difficult childhood. And so I am able to walk into a room and read everyone's emotions and feel the shift. And that's a trauma response. Um, but I can feel that shift in people. And so being able to pick up on people's emotions is kind of my superpower with writing. Um, so do I think that Unraveled would have been written if I hadn't gone through it? I bet I could have, but I don't think it would have been as good.
Yeah. Until you're like put into that. And
Right.
when were you like, okay, I'm putting this in a book. I am going to share this because others need to hear this. They need to hear my story so this can help them too.
So I used to write on a blog. I used to have like a little WordPress blog, and it had a good following. And I would publish some of my pieces on there, and I published some pieces in literary magazines and journals and stuff like that. And I always like had the idea that I wanted to publish a book, but no way knew how. Not in the publishing industry. I don't know anything about it. I went to bed one night and I woke up the next morning and I was checking my phone. My husband's laying next to me. He's checking his emails. I'm checking my emails. And I had two emails from publishing houses, two different publishing houses. They had found my blog or been sent a link to my blog, and they wanted to have a conversation with me about compiling the pieces together and publishing the book. And that was it. I mean, that's kind of how it came to be. Um, and it was like I feel like my life changed on an instant. Like it was fantastic. I mean, I've had a beautiful life, and I'm excited to be where I am, but like it was like a dream come true. So, and it was my husband who really pushed me. He was like, you are such an incredible writer. People need to read this. Do it. And he never hesitated. He never doubted me, never hesitated, never said, I don't know about this, or I don't know about that. He was like, do it, just do it. So that was it.
So you worked with a publishing company.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And the publishing process took about 8 months. So I had a lot of these pieces already written. And then we did like a round of editing and formatting for the interior. And then there's formatting for the exterior and the back cover and all this other stuff. So it took about 8 months. Yeah. And it's everywhere. It's like Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Target, Walmart. Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
What about the front cover?
Oh yeah. It's super cool, right? Uh,
Yeah. What is that? And how
so
did that come about?
so let me just pull this out. So it is it's a female bust. You can see her neck and her face, and then her hair kind of goes crazy. I wanted something that was feminine but dark, and something that portrayed like a woman's unraveling. And when people think unraveled, they think like, maybe it's like a rope unraveling or something like that. And I was like, I need it to be, I want feminine, but I want dark. And then the publishing company, they do the design. So they do all of this. I picked like black and red because I felt like that was kind of like blood and darkness. But I didn't want it to be like morbid. So, but this was the publishing company's idea, and they helped me, with the font and the back cover and the interior formatting and all the things. So
Yeah, I love it.
thank you.
It's
Yeah,
gorgeous.
it's fantastic.
It is.
They knocked it out of the park for sure.
They did.
Yeah,
So are they helping you with your next book or
they are. Yeah, so
yeah.
they are wanting. Let's see, let me get my phone there. There we go. Okay. So they are wanting first manuscript by December. So I'm hopefully getting that. And now Unraveled is a small book. It's only like 80 pages. It's not very big. The second book, I Spy a Water Tower. So this book is like 9,000 words. I Spy a Water Tower is going to be more like 30 to 40,000 words. So it'll be like triple the size. So it's going to be a thicker, chunkier book. This one doesn't have, I don't call them chapters. I call them stories. And so there's, I think, 16 stories in here. In I Spy a Water Tower, there will be like dedicated chapters. So it'll be more of a novella style book.
Oh my gosh. And you write in poetry, did you say, or some of it, or
Right. So this one is in long form poetry. So it's poems that are several pages long, but they're written as story form. They're not sing-songy. They're not rhymey. Sometimes when you read poetry, you're like, what did I just read? Like, what is this about? Like,
That's what I was gonna say.
how am I supposed to interpret this? No. You will totally know.
Okay.
You will totally understand. You'll totally feel what I felt in those moments. And then, so it's just long form, like free verse almost. And then I Spy a Water Tower is like proper chapters, paragraphs, like, and then I think in between each chapter, I'm going to just sprinkle in one of my like long form poetry, poem pieces just to kind of, cause that's kind of my thing. That's how I write. So just to kind of pull it all together, I'll have some pieces in my second book.
Wow. So you're out promoting this book, Unraveled,
Mm-hmm. I am.
while writing
Yes.
your second book.
And it is hard. I mean, people have been so supportive and encouraging. And like I said, it hit the best-selling list, which I'm like shocked. And I'm hoping that people still, you have this rise, everybody buys it, and it kind of like dies off a little bit. So I'm still trying to keep the momentum going. I have some speaking engagements with some women's groups that I think will be that's going to be fantastic. But yeah, I'm always hoping people will buy it and read it and leave good reviews and follow me on Instagram. And I'm super engaging in Instagram. Some authors, they don't respond to your DMs and stuff. I try really hard to respond to everyone, and I send out free books. Like if, the cost of a book is too much for you, like I'll mail you one. Like I want people to read the story. And I want people to like understand that I think that it's okay to be vulnerable and tell your story.
Yeah, I'm sure. I love that. And I think that, your family, everyone must be so proud of you
Hmm.
and like, whoa.
Yeah. It's
Right.
pretty cool. I have my family comes from like a long line of creatives. There's a lot of like musicians in my family, and um my brother he paints. He's a super talented painter. It's not his day job, but that's kind of like his creative outlet. My sister is in LA and she works in the fashion industry, and so we come from the long line of creatives, but we've never had an author in the family. And so uh they read it, and they read it and they were just like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy. And I'm like, I know, right? This is crazy.
Oh my gosh.
And sometimes I'll read some of the pieces, like I'll go back and read, like if I'm doing a reading or if I'm doing a podcast and they want to talk about a specific piece, uh, I'll read it and then I'm like, I wrote this? This is crazy.
Right.
Yeah,
And so for all of those, like even, you know, what middle schoolers and high schoolers that have that knack, that have that talent, I even had someone say to me, like, do people read books anymore? And I'm like,
absolutely. And we should be encouraging reading books all the time. So
yeah.
my three kids, I have one kid who like doesn't like to read, and it like kills me at my core because I'm such a reader. But she has dyslexia, and so it's a little bit more of a challenge for her to read. But we've tried doing audible like audiobooks for her, and it's working. So you can always find a book to read, and I think that reading and writing are core skills that we need to continue to push and encourage. Um, and I know that there's a lot of people out there that like, we don't need, they don't read as much. They're consumed with social media or screen time or TV shows or whatever. But all of that, the TV shows, all that's written, right? So my uncle's a producer in LA, and like all of that is written. They write the scripts. Like you have to be a writer. You have to come up with the creative content. So just because you're watching it on a screen doesn't mean it's like it hasn't been written. So practice your writing and practice your reading and read things that you're uncomfortable reading and read things that you're out of your genre of choice. Like read it all, everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Completely. I'm the same. And I like a book.
Yes.
I like the actual book in my
Yeah.
hands.
Yeah. I think that that's I just turned 40 last week. And I think that's like my generation. We're like the last generation that like really likes books. Um, I have a Kindle in my car in case I'm like in the carpool line or I'm stuck in traffic or whatever the case may be. So I have a book with me at all times, um, in my purse, in my car, on my desk. So I'm always reading if I'm not writing.
Yeah. Yeah, same here. I haven't done the like Audible or the Kindle, any of that type of stuff
Yeah.
yet.
I like Audible. Like if I go for a really long walk or something in the evening,
Yeah,
I'll put on Audible and listen to a book on tape. Um, but there's nothing that replaces like an actual book.
exactly. Because you get your highlighter out. You can
Totally.
like
You're writing in
highlight.
margins and all sorts of stuff. Yes, totally. Totally,
Yes.
totally.
Yeah. So, well, thank you for sharing this with us. I'm really
Thanks
excited.
for having me.
I'm excited for you.
Yeah.
Girl, you're just getting started.
I know. It's crazy. I feel like I need to like buckle up, like a 5 point harness, like a little kid toddler harness.
I do
Cause I
too.
it's gonna take off. I know it is. I can feel it.
And that's what it takes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to like when you got that message, those two messages
Yep.
from the publishers, you're like out of the blue.
Yeah.
And so when you know that it's going to happen, it'll happen
It'll happen.
at the right time.
Yep.
Perfect timing.
Uh,
So
awesome.
thank you so much again
Yeah.
for
Thank you for
being
having me.
here.
Appreciate you.
And where can everyone can find you?
So my main platform is Instagram. It's my handle is author.Kelli Kassoff, KELLI KASSOFF. And then my book Unraveled is available anywhere you buy books. So I think everyone buys it on Amazon because it's just it's easiest. So it's on Amazon and Barnes and Noble, Walmart, Target, and then some local bookstores here. And then if you're in St. Louis, it's at the Novel Neighbor bookstore. So there's a bookstore in St. Louis that has it. That's brand.
Okay,
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Oh gosh, thank you so much.
Thank
Everyone,
you.
go check out the book. Listen, I'm excited to read it. And thank you again. And everyone, thank you for being here today. And make sure to follow, like, and subscribe to this. Hop on over to YouTube so you can see Kelli's beautiful face and that fiery red hair that brought out the fire in her life.
Yes.
So, thank you so much and have a great day. Until next time, we'll see you later.